first question is, what was it that made you guys choose to do maritime subjects? Out of all the subjects, what was it that interests you about this subject?
I decided to choose maritime studies because I felt like it was a different subject. Like I'll get to know certain stuff that many people don't, and I just think that it's quite interesting. I don't know, and the package I was choosing during the subject choosing thing was including maritime, so I kind of had like no choice, and I did my research based on the subject, and I think it's a really fun subject to do, especially because I think I'm going to choose a career path that has maritime involved, so that's why.
So for me, maritime is actually part of the package, as she said. So it wasn't like a choice. It is like forced for me to like do the subject. And honestly, maritime is like an interesting subject because it's not like a subject that is like everyone knows about, So it was like, okay, interesting. I will have to do this subject, learn about trading and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I had always heard people speaking about maritime, and I always wondered, what is it about? And even though I didn't really choose it, it was in my subject package as well. I ended up, enjoying it. It's a very interesting subject. It's very nice knowing stuff that most people don't know because, you'll see a truck passing by and you'll be like, oh, a TEU or whatever. Or you see a certain ship and you know the name. So it's very interesting and very enjoyable.
Personally, it's the same story with the package, but mostly it's so I can brag during family gatherings about how I do maritime and they all don't know what maritime is. And then secondly, it's because maritime is such a broad subject. It has a lot of job opportunities, and whatever happens in life, even though you don't know what you want to become like me, I can just go into maritime and just find.
Awesome. Okay, well done. First round of questions done. So two of you mentioned careers, and I'm interested to find out what is it that each of you wants to do, after high school, and how could maritime link into that?
Okay, so I'm thinking of doing like nautical studies because I'm doing sailing involved in maritime. So I think maritime is gonna help me in terms of like knowing stuff, and that's basically it.
So I was thinking of doing maritime law. So maritime is helping me with knowing the different trade routes, the seas, and knowing what is needed in order for you to like be able to trade with other different countries. So yeah.
I've always wanted to do medicine and I still do. However, I feel like it's very important to have a second option. And, since I'm doing maritime, I feel like that will be my second option. Maybe something like a marine pilot or whatever, because I don't want to like work far from my family or whatever. So I feel like a marine pilot is good because you work in the sea, but you're still at home. But like as a second option, I still want to do medicine.
I would love to become a sea captain so I can work aboard and stuff because I love pirates and, well, I can't become a pirate now because, but I love to become a sea captain.
What is it that you guys find firstly the easiest about the subject and then the most difficult? Like, what are the categories?
Okay, I think the easiest part about the subject is that you're actually able to like logically think about what they're trying to say, like imagine it, like, and the hard part is like the calculations, the whole numbers and stuff. I don't like numbers, so it's like,
Okay, so firstly I'd like to start with the hard part. I agree with her, like the hard part has to be the calculations, and actually with the maps, having to like know the map, different types of trade routes off by heart, that's actually one of the hardest parts. And then the easiest part is that you actually get to like enjoy the lesson, because during the lesson it's almost like a connecting with the teacher, like you are able to understand the lesson. It's like a flow type of lesson, so it's very interesting.
I I feel like the hardest and easiest part of it is the calculations, because maritime is a subject that is very easy to pass, but it's also very easy to fail, because the calculations is just the same formulas, but obviously they'll put tricks here and there, so it's very easy to pass it, but it's also very easy to fail it. And also, as she said, it's a very logical subject. You don't really have to know maritime to know some of the things, like like trade and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, for me, guys, actually, it's the calculations. They are hard, but I can master them. And then for the other things like the notes, I'm really good at those because I actually go home and I learn stuff about maritime because I find it really, really interesting. So that's why it becomes really easy for me. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, that's interesting. So, kind of lastly, because this is going to be used for people who are training to become teachers of maritime, what is any advice or anything you'd like to say to somebody in terms of, as a learner, what the good way would be for a teacher some good tips or advice for a teacher just starting out?
I think as a maritime teacher, you kind of have to have a background of kind of knowing some things about ships and all that stuff in order to navigate us into what you're trying to say, because sometimes we don't get what you're saying, and I feel like they need to look at the learner's point of view and how they view things and try to make up examples, logical examples, as Sir was doing with us being the traders and all the stuff. So it's much easier for you to grasp information with things that are around you. That's the advice I could give.
So I would say that if you're wanting to go and teach maritime, learning about it, you should actually do it, because maritime is an interesting subject. You learn a lot about it. So as a teacher, I'd say actually yes, you should actually have a background of what it is you would be doing in the subject, so it'd be easier for you to actually communicate with the learners, teach with the learners, not being able to okay, I'm going to be reading the notes, but not understanding what you are teaching the learners yourself, So as she was saying, as Sir was doing, he was actually giving examples that we actually see, So you should actually do it as a subject you are actually interested in, intrigued in doing. Yeah, thank you.
I think that you should relate the subject to real life situations. Don't only make it about boats, but make it also about real life situations, and also pictures in the classes, so that when you're talking about something, you can show us, oh, this is what a bulk carrier looks like, this is what a port looks like, so that we can see what you're talking about and not just yeah.
And I'd like to add that by saying the teacher should be able to listen to the learners and what they're saying, because some of the things we actually say may not sound logistic, but they actually can happen and stuff. So it would really help in the lesson if we can all relate to what's happening and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing where you're at in this, and I hope you guys continue to work hard and enjoy the subject.